Hello, thank you for joining us for the Facebook Encore for the 2020 Fine Arts Capstone Exhibition's virtual reception, where students will be presenting their work in a video format. So each semester, our graduating fine arts majors are required to complete a capstone course, a course that is designed to get students ready for life after college as artists and creatives. For this course, students are required to think about their own artistic interests, intent, and most importantly, themselves as human beings and the way they want to communicate with the world through their art, resulting in a cohesive body of work. They're also required to design their own websites, promote and market the exhibition, and learn how to write and speak about their work. Spring 2020 was an unusual year for all of us. The title of the exhibition, which was chosen by the students themselves before the pandemic, inspired by Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, seems unnervingly appropriate for the major shift in the plan we had to make towards at the end of the course, meaning move the exhibition into virtual space from our campus gallery space. Although initially disappointed, we as artists did what we have always done and will continue to do, meaning coming up with creative solutions, adapting, problem solving, and seeing this as a new learning opportunity for a different mode of dissemination. We learn how to use Zoom, record artist lectures, and document and edit work in space that is not your traditional gallery space for install shots. Through all this, all the students remained determined, flexible, and saw through the completion of their projects in their makeshift studios during shelter in place. And I cannot be more proud. There are 5 students who are part of this class. And so please look through all of their work and feel free to contact them via their websites or social media. You can find all that information on our online gallery platform through our IUE's gallery site at iue.edu/gallery. And on the left side of the tab, you will see a tab for the Capstone exhibition. Now I would like to introduce the 5 artists who will be sharing their work with you. First is Brenna Wampler. Brenna Wampler is an artist based in her hometown of Cambridge City, Indiana. She attended Lincoln High School, where she was gifted 4 years of art classes with instruction from one temperamental old man, one grown woman whose wardrobe included a Batman dress and sneakers. And after high school, she began attending in Indiana University East, where she will earn her bachelor's degree of fine arts in the spring of 2020. Her work deals with various topics of the human experience, but focuses on human relationships. Along with visual work, Wampler also finds solace in writing of her experiences and often incorporates text into her pieces. She has exhibited work at Indiana University East in Richmond, Indiana, K-12 Gallery in Tejas in Dayton, Ohio, and the Richmond Art Museum in Richmond, Indiana.
I'm going to start out by reading my artist statement. I create art that is focused on human relationships and personal experiences and how those affect us. I work with traditional media utilizing various methods, including painting, drawing, textile, writing, and animation. I'm specifically interested in how we as humans view romantic, platonic, and familial relationships. I think people often prioritize romantic relationships over platonic ones, and I'm fascinated by that concept. I'm interested in how the media presents desirable relationships that often have many toxic traits, and how that encourages people to romanticize unhealthy relationships. Through my work, I also like to explore my personal ideas and biases. A lot of my own opinions were influenced by my parents' divorce and the marriages and relationships of my aunts, uncles, cousins, friends, etc. Writing and drawing about these topics has been both a healing and growing process for me. In my current body of work, I'm continuing my research on the human experience by asking the simple question, what is love? I am attempting to answer the question through multiple methods, including interviews with my friends and family, daily records of my own experiences with relationships, and creating video pieces based on these findings. This will create what I hope will be an immersive experience that people will have a desire to spend a lot of time with as they read, listen to, and watch my desperate desire to answer this fundamental and yet elusive question. The original plan included 3 methods: So method number 1 was to keep a daily record of instances of love and happiness, and those can be seen in the papers with the hearts on them. This can be anything from a popsicle to sunshine to a hug. I also recorded a daily relationship log where I recorded my own experiences and feelings with the relationships in my everyday life, my platonic and familial and romantic ones. Method number 2 involved interviewing my friends and family and asking them about their experiences with love in their own lives. And then using those audio recordings to create 6 video pieces. Originally, the idea was to create 6 video pieces, then it got pared down to 3 video pieces, and then to create hand-drawn animation to go with the audio recordings. And so that's a sketch of what the final installation would have looked like, with the video monitors in place in a row and then the daily records pasted up on the walls around them. Some problems I ran into during this body of work was the audio. I had done pieces like this in the past, but I had never used such long audio recordings or so many. So it was different for me because I always used to work with one recording, which is a lot easier to manage, especially with animating to it. I had to sift through a lot of the audio to find the good parts of it, the strongest pieces to use for the videos. It was like looking for the diamond in the rough. And also, the longer the videos get, the more drawings I had to create to keep up with that. And so that was a little bit demanding. And then it was also difficult for me to keep up with my daily records just because everyday life would get in the way and I would forget one day or I'd be busy another day. But I tried to keep up with it as much as I possibly could. And in the end, I had plenty of material to draw from. To help with the vast amount of audio that I was trying to sort through, I decided to put the videos into categories. So the first video dealt with love, looking at love as a family. The second video dealt with platonic love or love as a friend. And the third video dealt with romantic love, which is what I thought was going to be my main focus at the beginning of this project, but ended up being just one portion of it. The daily records, this is an installation shot of them posted up on the wall. Like I said, they would have originally been posted up around the video monitors. And basically the idea with these is that the viewer, not everything is accessible to the viewer. So you would be walking up to the piece and you'd be engaging with the videos, you'd be able to jump in and out of the videos as you liked. And then you would also be able to read my own experiences, but not all the way. Because they're pasted over top of each other, some things are hidden, some things are highlighted, some things are circled. And so you're really only getting pieces of each day. And you're only seeing what your eye is drawn to. Because I only have a little bit of time to talk about my work, I wasn't able, unfortunately, to show all of the video pieces during this presentation, but I would like to show you just a little clip from the third video.
Becky Newkirk, 51.
Brandon Newkirk, 43.
My name is Victoria Blevins, and I'm 21.
When do you feel like was the saddest time of your life?
Probably going through the divorce with your dad, because that wasn't what that didn't turn out like it was supposed to.
If you could change one thing about any of the relationships in your life, what would it be?
You know, I can't think of changing anything just because everything you do builds you up to the point you are today.
No, even the first one, it wasn't good. I'm the person I am now for the hardships that I lived through.
What is your definition of love?
When you accept another person for who they are, regardless of their flaws or anything else, and choose them and forgive them and give them grace.
Oh, this is love right here.
And so that was just a short bit so that you can get sort of a sense of what the videos are like. And if you would like to view all of the videos in completion, feel free to visit my website where they will all be uploaded. I couldn't have done this project without the help of my friends and family, and so I would just like to say thank you to all of them, and thank you to all of you for listening.
Our next artist is Rowen Perkins. Rowan Perkins is a senior at IU East, majoring in fine arts with a concentration in graphic design and a minor in marketing. She works at the IU East Writing Center as a consultant. Her artwork won first place in painting and second best in 2016 show at the Wayne County High School Art Exhibition. In 2017, her acrylic painting titled Procession was included in the Whitewater Valley Art Competition, a juried exhibition at IU East. Rowan prefers to work with graphite, color pencil, ink, acrylics, oils, and digital media, focusing on portraiture. In the future, she wishes to further explore sculptural works in a variety of media. Currently, she is in the process of sculpting articulated art dolls.
All right, I'm going to start by reading my artist statement. The last 3.5 years of my life have been spent pursuing my college education, which means they have been spent indoors in front of my laptop. The smaller screen of my smartphone is my escape from my schoolwork. I haven't had much time to focus on anything else, and as a result, I feel distance from nature and myself. I have this reoccurring sensation that everything in my life is artificial and synthetic. I eat foods with chemicals I cannot pronounce. I use health products with ingredients I don't understand, and I spend my days immobilized in front of the blue light of my laptop. The debris of my life is piling in an underground mountain of plastic refuse. I have a longing to immerse myself in nature. I suspect spending more time outdoors, eating real foods, and performing meaningful tasks will greatly improve my emotional health. In my art, I keep returning to the idea of the Huldra. In Norse mythology, the Huldra are female forest spirits who protect their land. Although the Huldra are young and beautiful, they are not benevolent or passive beings. They return kindness when it is shown on them or nature by humans, but when the forest is damaged or polluted, they always find revenge. A Huldra can marry a human man, but when she does so, her tail falls off and she loses her beauty. My Huldra takes the form of a resin ball-jointed doll, standing approximately 38 centimeters tall. She appears youthful and naive with full cheeks and a peaceful expression. She has a fuller, soft figure, and her large hands and feet only add to her childlike appearance. Her clothes are embellished with moss, and there are strands of alpaca yarn in her hair. Her gold eyes and her skin, which is the speckled texture of stone, reveal that she is inhuman. My goal is for her to appear both beautiful and unsettling. So unfortunately, my doll is not actually resin. She is paper clay, but I will move on to talking about my process now. I began this process by creating a blueprint of my doll that is to scale so that I could measure her and figure out how I wanted her proportions to be. And then my next step was to create core pieces, so interior pieces that were made from plastic wrap, scraps, and tape. And then I began to sculpt on top of that with paper clay. It was very important that these core pieces were there because the doll needed to be completely hollow so that the elastics can fit inside her body. And the elastics, or the tension from the elastics, is what allows her to hold poses and just kind of what keeps her together. After that, I started working on the joints. So she has a joint in her neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists, torso, hips, knees, and ankles. And then after that, I began building up the details in her body and in all the parts. And then after that, I primed and sanded each piece individually, and it actually is several layers of priming and sanding and priming and sanding. There were a lot of bumps along the way. For example, I had a really difficult time with her legs. I actually sculpted her legs multiple times, and the reason why I did that is because she has a double joint in her knee, which means that she can kneel. And this was very difficult to sculpt because the double joint, the joint piece itself has to sit inside the thigh piece and the lower leg piece. So it got kind of frustrating after a while, and it was even more frustrating when I went to prime those pieces in the garage, and my dog ate the last 2 legs that I had made. But I did finally get her sanded and primed and, looking how I wanted her to look. And typically when the doll is in that step of the process, a doll maker will cast them. So they'll make a mold of each piece, and then they'll cast each piece in resin or porcelain separately. But unfortunately, I was not able to do that. So I continued with this project as if I was able to cast the doll. So I made eyes for her. All of the eyes that you see here are made from resin and polymer clay. And then I sewed her dress, and I felted the applique, the moss applique that's on the dress, and that's made out of alpaca fibers. And then I stitched those little beads to the dress as well. And then after that, I made the wig that you see here, and that is made out of alpaca locks. And then I painted her face, and I did that with acrylic paint, and I also used my Prismacolors on that too. And she does have some eyelashes as well. Of course, I wanted to incorporate the beauty of nature in my photos. So I took her to a wooded area as the sun was setting, and I'm really happy with the light that I was able to capture in a lot of these photos. And I also took this picture in a cherry tree under a different light, more of like a noon light, and I'm happy with the way that that looks as well. Overall, I've loved working on this project so much. I've learned so much from this project, and that's because this is the first three-dimensional work, that I've worked on this extensively. I'm not typically a three-dimensional artist, and so I learned a lot using these new materials. I learned so much working with these joints and trying to make something that can articulate, because that's not typically my area of expertise, is that kind of technical skill. So I'm really proud of what I was able to achieve there. But although I'm excited to share this piece with everyone, my ultimate goal with this piece is to be able to cast her. So I'm kind of considering this celebration as like a stepping stone in the process, because there's so much more that I want to do with this doll. So my ultimate goal is to be completely satisfied with the sculpt. I want to go in and improve some areas of the sculpt just to optimize her posability and make sure that she's holding those poses really well and that she's able to move in all kinds of different ways. And then once I'm really satisfied with that, I would love to cast her in resin so that I can share her with others. Thank you so much.
Our next artist is Keith Conley. Keith Conley. Keith Conley is an artist who is primarily a painter, but also dabbles in pottery and metalwork. He is currently majoring in fine arts at Indiana University East, where he is also working as a studio assistant. Recently, he's working on a series of work that focuses on his exploration of events of his upbringing and how these moments have molded him as a person he is now. In 2019, he received second place in the annual student showcase for his drawing, Victor, by the juror Pamela Bliss. Outside of the studio, he is married with 2 preteen daughters and works as a barista and bartender. He also enjoys drawing and painting skulls and posting them on Instagram. And you can find him on Instagram at KW Conley Art.
Hi, I'm Keith Conley, and I am a painter. I like to paint portraits, figures, and skulls. My inspirations are mythology, nature, and the people around me. I work with oil paint, and my current work is a study of my childhood experiences and how they shaped my present self. In the show, I incorporate visual metaphor and short story in order to find new meaning to the events. This work has given me new insights on how I perceive myself. When we started out this semester, every idea I had was too broad or ambitious. The cycle continued for a few weeks until our class was talking about our earliest memories. And I thought, I hate this. Not the class or even the conversation. I hated the thought of trying to dig through my memories. I have done this with counselors and therapists, and I'm not a fan. But I got out my sketchbook and started writing and sketching until I had a story that I could split up, and each of them could tell their own stories. And from these scribbles and scratches, I had 5 paintings. A kind of self-portrait that is both autobiographical and universal. The series touches on concepts I never thought directly shaped who I am. The first 3 paintings deal with concepts like mental health, toxic masculinity, or having religion forced on you. And the last 2 are coping mechanisms, both good and bad, such as anger and being a protector of others. This body of work is deeply personal and a roller coaster of emotions to work through. But I hope they will speak to others who have been there as well and know that they are not alone, different, or wrong. You can find my art at kwconleyart.com or on Instagram at kwconleyart. Thank you for your time.
Our next artist is Josiah Free. Josiah Free is an artist who grew up drawing and making origami in Richmond, Indiana. He has been studying fine arts and graphic design and will be graduating with a bachelor's degree in fine arts from Indiana University East. The mediums that Josiah enjoys working with are graphite, acrylic paints, and digital art. His art is inspired by science fiction and film and often deals with comedic subject matter, such as the adventures of his cats. Josiah hopes to capture and inspire the imagination of the audience and maybe make them laugh too.
I create art that intrigues me. I draw, paint, and make art digitally. I'm inspired by retro science fiction artists, concept artists, and my favorite filmmakers. I aim to inspire the imagination through mystery, wonder, humor, using imagery that is both familiar and unfamiliar. I like to vary my work, so I use a wide variety of subject matter in order to push my limits and make each piece visually distinct from the last. Whether it's the image of an astronaut exploring a distant planet or a detective investigating a shady street at night, I want you to feel like you've stepped into a world that's larger than what you see. I want you to wonder what else could be happening beyond the edge of the canvas. Why did the astronaut land there? What is the detective investigating? What will happen next? I want viewers to feel like my art has a history and a story to it. My current project involves a malcontent cat, an escape, and the mood of a 60s spy thriller. It's an animated short film that will appeal to anyone who's experienced crazy pet shenanigans. Visual storytelling is something I've always admired, and Sasha the Escape Cat is my attempt at a comedic short film inspired by cartoonists like Chuck Jones. The idea that I had for it was to do an animated remake of my first YouTube video I ever uploaded. I uploaded this video back in 2012 because my cat, Sasha, learned how to escape a locked cat door by rolling onto her back and using her claws to pry open the cat door and kind of squeeze her way through. And then when we blocked up the cat door, she went through the window. We had a window above the cat door, and she clawed her way through that and broke out the window. She really didn't like being locked in that room, so I thought it'd be funny to make a video of that. But I realized very quickly it was hard to train cats to actually act for a camera. So I thought it would be a neat idea to animate these instead of filming them. So that was my idea for this, to make an animated Sasha the Escape Cat video, starring my real pets that I have in real life, my family's real pets. The short film was animated in a program called Krita. It's a free software that anyone can download. It's sort of like Photoshop, but you can animate in it, you can draw in it, you can paint in it. I finished about 2 or 3 shots per day, and I worked on this over a course of 2 months. And I spent about 1 month doing the story and storyboarding it. The short film is animated at 10 frames per second. The usual for a feature film, like a live action movie, would be 24 frames per second. I just played around with different settings until I figured out one that I thought looked good for the amount of frames I wanted to animate, and then I went with that. Originally, in my video, I was going to use royalty-free music for the soundtrack of it, but I realized that I wanted custom music. I wanted something unique to this project. I thought that would just be very interesting and kind of fun. So I got on this website called twine.fm where you can hire composers and just put out a pitch for this project, telling them what it was about and what sort of stuff was going to be in it. And I got quite a few responses, probably 20 or 30 different composers responding and saying they wanted to do it. But a lot of them charged anywhere from about 120 to about 500, which I couldn't afford. One guy responded and said he would do the whole thing for $25. So I sent him links to songs that I wanted it to have a similar sound to, like the James Bond theme song. And he did exactly what I asked. It exceeded my expectations. This composer's name is Vladislav Sabativ. Before I started doing any of the animation, the first step was creating the story and then storyboarding it. So when I created the story, what I did was I started a notepad document and I started plotting out the basic plot points of what was going to happen, which were the various escape attempts and the opening and closing scenes. And once I got the story planned out, I took a bunch of index cards and I started drawing the various shots on them. I ended up with about 120 total shots, and I condensed that to about 70 total, which you see in the final project. There were several escape sequences that didn't make it into the final project because of time limitations. At some point I would like to revisit it and add those back in, but for the moment I got what I consider a satisfying story. The stars of the video are my cat Sasha, who is an odd-eyed white cat. That means she has one yellow eye and one blue eye. Cuddles the kitten. And Smidgen the cop dog. The original plan for the exhibition, when we were going to do an in-person exhibition, was to set up a big screen TV and have this video playing on a loop, along with a short behind-the-scenes video showing the making of it. And then on either side of the TV screen, I would have two posters, one of which would be a digital poster in the style of a modern Hollywood movie poster, and the other would be a hand-painted retro-style poster, like in the style of a 60s spy movie. A few weeks back, I decided to just condense the two posters into one because I didn't need to for the exhibition, and the painting wasn't going out the way I wanted to. I'm a little out of practice when it comes to painting. So I felt more comfortable doing the digital one, so I just combined my idea for a retro hand-painted poster into a retro digital poster. What I did for the behind-the-scenes video was I used a screen recording program to record me animating the last shot of the entire short film, which is Sasha putting on the sunglasses. I thought that'd be a funny shot to use for the behind-the-scenes video. It was like an hour long before, but I sped it up to be about 3 minutes long, 3 or 4 minutes long. And that is how I made Sasha the Escape Cat. Thank you for listening to my artist talk. I hope you enjoy the video.
Our last artist is Kate McNew. Kate McNew is a Richmond, Indiana-based artist that primarily works in digital art who dabbles in painting and sculpting from time to time. She has been making characters and their own worlds since she was a child, similar to making imaginary friends. Projecting certain parts of her personality onto these characters has been an excellent way of finding her own identity and coping with stressful life events. Some characters grow on her more than others, becoming more than just an outlet. Currently, her project is focused on one character that she had no idea would end up being so important to her. She is currently majoring in fine arts with plans to graduate in the fall of 2020. In her spare time, she likes to play Nintendo and Sega games, which have greatly inspired several of her characters, and search for music that fuels ideas for her art. Her work has been shown at a number of student shows at Indiana University East and is also viewable on social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram.
Hi, I'll start with my artist statement. A huge theme in my artwork is combining cutesy, big-eyed characters in weird or energetic situations. Several of my pieces include an original male character who is androgynous in appearance. I have been prioritizing this character since early 2019, constantly making art of him either being forced into or willingly taking part in situations that are dangerous but also pleasurable. These specific pieces that I've created are introductory pieces showing his fun-loving and smug, but sort of unhinged personality. Some of my work comes from a personal place in my brain and have been a means of coping. I have struggled with my identity for years, and this character named Ag, short for Agony, has given me an effective way of exploring my likes and dislikes and combining the two as a way of rationalizing them. However, in my time of developing Ag, he has become somewhat more of a close friend rather than just an escape. The main goal of the series is to explain and illustrate key traits of Ag through digital artwork that I've done on my iPad. So my original plan was to have a mixed media show, including acrylic and gouache paintings alongside my digital artwork. There was going to be some looping animations as well. Just got a little bit overwhelming with this situation. I felt it was best to fully focus on these 6 pieces I'm going to show you. I think a lot of people think digital artwork is easier than your traditional style of painting or sculpting or drawing. That's not always the case. It is a lot quicker, I will say, because you obviously don't have to wait on stuff to dry. You can fix mistakes really easily without leaving any sort of trace behind. It's very easy to be a perfectionist with digital art. These pieces have over 10 hours of work put into them. I hope that shows through. I don't know if that sounds a lot to everybody, but I feel as though digital art is just as labor-inducing as other ways of making art that I've listed. If you are wondering where my inspiration comes from or how I got to this style that I'm drawing in, I grew up watching a lot of cartoons and playing a lot of video games, especially from Nintendo and Sega. I had a really big Sonic the Hedgehog phase when I was younger, and I think that's where this all stems from. I was making a lot of, they're called fan characters, just characters that I would have liked to see in existing cartoons and games, kind of like a self-insert. Is really self-indulgent. I grew up with a lot of online friends that have done the same thing, so my characters interact with my friends' characters. I have more than just one character. Ag is just the one I've focused on for over a year. He's got kind of an extensive backstory, which I won't get into right now, but I will answer any questions about him at the end. I was very back and forth with pieces I wanted to include. I did a lot of experimenting with the compositions and poses, but I feel like the ones that worked out the best are ones where he's very front and center, because he's a very narcissistic character. So I feel those kinds of compositions really pair nicely with his personality. This very last one I was not going to include, but I feel like it's necessary because it is the first one I made this semester that I feel like really shows how I branched out with making digital work. If you compare this one to these first 2 especially, I think you can really tell I was just experimenting a lot more with colors and perspectives and posing, but the composition still, they're all pretty much the same, with him being the center of attention as he wants to be. I know that's not really a likable trait in real life, but I think it works well for him, and I hope you guys like him as much as I do.